What is a loop? A loop is used when we want to run a block of code multiple times. For example, we want to show numbers from 1 to 10. We can use it for loop. Another example, adding multiple items to a list, which we can recommend to go for a loop. Third example, processing multiple records. In C Sharp, we mainly use 4 loops. One is for loop, next is while loop, third is do while loop, fourth is for each loop. What is for loop? A for loop is a type of loop in C Sharp that lets us repeat a block of code multiple times automatically. Instead of writing the same code again and again, we use a for loop to do it for us. When we use for loop, we usually use a for loop when we know in advance how many times we want the code to run. For example, if you want to show numbers 1 to 5 in a list box or print the same message 10 times, a for loop is perfect. In the previous videos, we already created a Windows Forms project. So I'm going to open my existing project. Open Visual Studio 2026. This is my existing project. I just click on it. The project loaded successfully. In this video, we will add a new form to the same project for our looping examples. For that, what I'm going to do, going to open the Solution Explorer, right click on the project, click Add, look for Form Windows Forms, click on it. I am entering a form name, which is Looping Examples. Looping Examples form. Great. Press Add button. Nice. You can see a new form now. Now we are going to add two controls from the toolbox. What are all the control? First is button, drag and drop. Another one is ListBox. Look for ListBox. Nice. Next is we are going to provide a naming convention for ListBox. We need to set a naming convention under the name property. I give you a name, looping data. For button, right click, go to properties, give you a naming property. I enter the naming convention btn for loop. Press enter. I also want to change the text. Look for text property. I submit. I enter for loop. Nice. Okay. The controls are ready now. We also define the required properties. Nice. Now I am also planning to change the font size. I'm going to font property, change the size to 14. Similarly, for the button also, I'm planning to change the font size. Now I will show you a simple example for loop. First, what we do, just I double click on the for loop button. You can see a for loop event handler created. Nice. This is my sample code for loop. What are we doing here? For is a keyword in C# syntax. It indicates to .NET Framework, hi, I am using for loop. Next, we are declaring a data type as integer. I is a variable which is integer variable. By default is 1 for the variable I. Next portion, we are saying I less than or equal to 5. This is the target condition. We are defining the maximum number to print the result. So you are defining the condition 5. Finally, what is the meaning of this 5? We are allowing to run the statements within the for loop for 5 times. You already know the count. In this case, definitely you can go for loop. Next is we are increasing the value of 5. The default value is 1 to the variable 5. Now we are asking please increase the value. In the second time, while you are running the code, it will be 2, 3, 4, 5. At the sixth count, what we have statements inside the for loop section, it won't be executed. This is the overall logic here. Don't worry at all. I will explain line by line during the debugging mode. During that time, you will clearly understand how the for loop works. Great. Now we come back to the statements. What we need to print if the for loop conditions are valid. We are saying this is our list box. Which list box? This one. We already defined the name property, which is lst for loop loop data. What is the shortcut to go to the code? You can press F7. I explained in the previous videos. What I am saying here, add my result into the list box. This is the constant string just for printing purpose. Just we say number, and this is the variable. I is the variable. What we are having the result that will be printing here. This is the dynamic variable. And you may have a question, what is this? This is called string interpolation in the modern C#. In the legacy system, we always used to append the data. How we used to append the data? Both statements are same. It will print the same result, but this is the old practice. We always used to append the data. But in the modern C#, I strongly recommend to go with string interpolation. Okay, I don't want the second line. If you don't want the second line, either you can delete it or you can comment it. How to comment it? You can use Ctrl+KC. Ctrl+KC is the shortcut key. If you are a professional developer, please you need to understand some shortcut keys so that your programming skills can be improved a lot. Great. Now I already commented the line which I don't want. Now we will jump back to our for loop. Okay, now our statements are ready to print. Now I am going to run the application. If you want to run the application, you can press the symbol which is like a play symbol. You can press it. Alternatively, you can use a shortcut key which is F5. Press the play symbol. Oh, it shows something different. What is happening now? I will explain. I go to Solution Explorer. You can see here we have two forms in the project, form 1 and our current form, which is looping examples form. So if you have more than one form, you need to define which form to be run in the application. For that, what we have to do, we need to go to Program.cs. What is the use of Program.cs? Program.cs is the first entry point for the application. What we are saying, please run the form which is form 1. Form 1 is from here, but now we are interested to run the application from looping examples form. So I have to type here our current form name, looping examples form. Great. Now we already declare our form name. Now we are going to run the application again. Oh, nice. Now we can see our current form. Now what are we going to do? Just I click on the for loop button. Wonderful. Great, great. We can see the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we will jump back to the coding. Now you may have a plenty of questions. I can see only 5 times. How it works really? As I told in the previous videos, we always need to go for a breakpoint to understand the code line by line. We will go for debugging. Now I switch back to our form. Now I press for loop. See here, the cursor is waiting for you. Previously, the cursor didn't wait for you. Immediately show the result. Now what I recommend, use F11. F11 will be a detailed inspection, which is called step into. I press F11. You can see here, mouse over to I, which is 1. How it become 1? Because we already defined the value 1. So it takes 1 as integer value because we declare the data type integer. Next, mouse over to the next portion. We have this condition 5 and I less than or equal to 5. See here, the condition says true, which means this is valid condition. 1 because I stores 1. 1 less than or equal to 5, which is valid. So we can see valid. How you can see? Mouse over to the less than or equal to, you can see the result true. So the condition is valid. See the cursor, it is not jumping into I++. If the condition is valid, the cursor comes to our statement which need to execute. I press F11. Now you can mouse over to the variable I, which is now 1. You can see here, which is 1. So what we are going to do, you can press F11 again. You can mouse over to the items, expand this. You can see the count 6 and you can expand the results view. See here, you can see the result here itself. Number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, number 1 is printing. You may have a confusion now. Hey, how come it's showing number 1 again? And I also can see some other numbers, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can see 1 again. Definitely you will be getting confused. Don't worry. I will explain why it's showing repeated numbers. Don't worry at all. We can continue our debugging. I press F11. See here, now only the statement is going to execute, which is I++. So what is happening here? First, when you run the application, the cursor comes here, comes to int I is to 1. Next is checking the condition, is it valid? If it is valid, jump to the statements. What we need to print, it will jump to the statements. After the statement executed, then the cursor comes to the incremental portion, which is I++. Now only it's going to increase 2. I press F11, so the variable contains 2 now. Now you look at the statement, it jumped to the condition now. You got it? How the debugging helping us to understand the code? Now it is checking the condition. What is the condition now? I variable is 2 and the target number is 5. And you can mouse over to less than or equal to. See here, the valid, it's a valid condition. So what will happen, cursor? So I press F11. If you press F11, what is happening here? The cursor jumps into the statement section. See how beautiful here. Without debugging, you can't understand how the logic works behind. The condition is valid. Now we are jumping to the printing statement. Now you mouse over to the variable of I. See here now 2. I continue to press F11. Now the statement executed. Now I mouse over to the items of the list box, expand it, and you can see the count increased to 7 from 6. You can expand to result view. You can see number 2 printing. Don't worry about this. I will explain later why it's printing. Okay, now we will come back to number 2. Nice. Okay, I press F11 again. See here, cursor jumps to incremental portion. Current value is 2. I press F11. Now the value become 3. Now the cursor jumps to the condition. What is the condition now? I less than or equal to 5. Current value is 3. 3 less than or equal to 5. True. I press F11. It jumps to the statement section. I press F11. Now mouse over to the I variable, which is 3 now. You can see I press F11. Mouse over to the items of the list box. Expand it. See here, the count now increased from 7 to 8. Expand result view. See, it's printed. Okay, continue to F11. The cursor jumps to incremental portion. Current value is 3. I press F11. Now jump to 4 because of incremental portion. Now the cursor is jumped to the condition checking. What is the condition? It's true because I is 4 only. I press F11, 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 expand to the items. See the count is 9. Expand to the result view. See here printed number 4. F11 jumps to the incremental portion. Current value is 4. F11, now it becomes 5. It used to check 5 less than or equal to 5, which is true. In C Sharp, if you use less than or equal to means, this will check including 5. 5 less than or equal to 5, which is valid because we are using less than or equal to symbol. So the condition is valid. I press F11. Cursor jumps to the printing statements. Press F11. Mouse over to the I. Press F11. Mouse over to the items. Check the value. See, count is now 10. Result view number 5. Nice. Now you can see the magic. I press F11. Jumps to the incremental portion. I press F11. It is 6 now. Now you can see I is 6, but your target value is up to 5. Before I press F11, you can see here the condition is false, which means we can't execute this statement at this stage. Okay, we will check. I press F11. See here, the condition is invalid. As a result, the cursor automatically jumps from the for loop statements. Now I press continue. Look at my cursor. I press continue. Great. Now you may have some question. Why I can see 2 times? Number 1, 2, 3, 4. Again I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I will explain why it is showing like that. We are simply adding this into the list box. That's it. But when you click on the button, I click again. See, Now I can see 3 times. First, we will expand the list box size so that you will have more clarity what we are printing here. I stop the application. I go to design view, expand the list box size. Now we will run the application again. Okay, now you can't see any data because we stop the application and run the application again. Now we are going to click the for loop button again. I don't want debug at this stage. If you don't want to debug, you can click the red icon. It will be disappear. Press continue. Great. I press for loop again. See, another section is printing. This has been printed until 5 from the first click of for loop. Another section from 1 to 5 is printed from the second click of for loop. I click again. See here, when I click at the third time, this section was printed. Now, it is not a good practice to show like this. Definitely, it will be confused to users when you are working on the real-time project. If you print like this, the end user or customer will not be happy with this. So what we need to do, we need to write one more code additionally. I stop the program. We are going to clear the list box. How to clear the list box? See here, intelligence are asking, do you want to clear? Of course, we want to clear it. What is the statement of this? We are going to clear the data from the list box. Okay, now I will run the application again. I press for loop button. It executed from 1 to 5. I press for loop again. I press n number of times, but we can see always from 1 to 5. What is happening behind? We can go for a breakpoint now. I put a breakpoint at line number 20. Now we will click the for loop button. See here, we can mouse over to the items, expand it. You can expand to the result view. See here, we have some data. Now we are going to clear this data using clear method. So I press F11. Now the data has been cleared from the list box. How do you confirm? Now you can go to items again, expand it. You see here, now the count is 0. You can also double confirm from the result view. Nothing, empty. See, nice. Now you can as usually check the conditions. We don't want to check the conditions again using the breakpoint. I press continue button now. So using the clear method, we are not seeing the repeated numbers. I hope now you understood how for loop works. Now I have a question. In which situation we need to go for a for loop? If you already know the count, then you can go for a for loop.